want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Madmen of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Good day, Madmen Mafia.
I am Kirk M. Samuels.
Yes, and I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Madmen of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
We got a real man today.
Folks. Yeah, we do.
We got a real man today. Y'all done messed around and you about to find out. Real. We got a real man today, man.
Yeah.
You know, we got something coming up, man, and this is a great. He's been on. He's filled in. I mean, he's he's not new to the Madmen Mafia.
Yeah. Our main man pajamas.
Yeah, he's not new, but he's always improved.
There you
go. You know what I'm saying?
Mr. Brett
Our
Zachman.
main man, Mr. Brett Zachman, or Zach.
Put him in the middle, Mr. Zach,
because he hangs out with one syllable kind of guys, and so you know he had to go with Zach for us because that's what he hangs out to. Zach, man, how's it going, brother?
What's up, fellas? Good to be on, man.
You are the inner circle, man. You are like your squad. You know, you squad, man. You're a capo in the Madmen Mafia, or a consigliere at least. Something like that, man, because you've definitely been around. You are indeed, and have been for some time, the founder of M.E.N, of which we are very closely a part of, man. So first and foremost, you know, on behalf of the Madmen, I want to thank you for your friendship. I want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank you for your vision. Thank you for everything that you do, man, a calling in your life and all of that. What is M.E.N, man? For those that don't know, you know, some people are new to the chat. So for people that don't know, what in the world is M.E.N, man?
Yeah, let's just keep it simple and linear. You know, it's not that men aren't intelligent. I just think my brain works better when we don't make things too complex. So be men, just that, right? Be a man, textual call to action. But what does that really mean in 2025? So we built a men's organization. Right? This is a place and a space for men to get together, built by men for men to encourage other men, right? As we know, coming up with this summit, better men, better world. So the tagline for us is Gentleman, Hero, Warrior. So we're looking to tap into that. There's kind of 3 layers. There's a public-facing website. There's an open group community on Facebook. And then there's the inner sphere, where we invite men into men-only events that we're going to get into and talk about a little bit today on today's episode, right? And then there's kind of 3 concentric rings in your life, too. There's first and foremost your relationship with self. And if you don't know, you need to know, right? Because that's what drives everything. Then that circles out to your relationship with friends like you fellas and your family. And then that furthermore ripples out into community and society. And the premise of M.E.N is as men get better, the world gets better. Because the strong get stronger. And if men are healthier, women are emotionally and physically safer, partnerships can stay intact, kids can grow up in functioning or more functioning environments, which gives them a hell of a lot better chance to grow up to be functioning adults.
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons you're our friend, because you make us better just by being there, just by being yourself. And the summit that we're putting on, it's our second annual summit. It's August, and the tagline or the theme is Better Men, Better World. So, I mean, I know it's maybe a little early in the episode, but let's dig into that a little bit. I mean, why is it that better men make a better world? And from each of your point of views, like, what is it? I mean, I know in my life, having good men around me makes me better, makes my life better, makes my world better. But in the content or context of the rest of the world, why do better men make a better world?
Yeah, to your point, Zach, it's statistically proven that when men are better, when men are more present, for example, when men are present in the household, the family dynamic, the kids, the success of the kids, and all those things are just are just better, statistically proven. You know, a lot of culture has has tried to push men out of the way or push men to the fringes, um, and some of that is maybe my opinion, but some of it is, I think, fact. I mean, some of it is, you know, Ray Charles can see that, right? And so as we have pushed men to the perimeter, to the sidelines in a whole lot of ways, whether it's in kids' lives or whether it's in, you know, just public opinion and those sorts of things, as we push men to the side, I think we've seen our society get unsafer. You know, I think, you know, you don't have to go, you don't have to look too deep to see that you know, public spaces are not really safe these days, and most of the time it's because of a lone male that creates a dangerous place for mass casualties of people. I mean, you can go on and on and on, but and you know, in kids' lives, you know, when dad is made irrelevant, whether he's, you know, Al Bundy on the couch with his hand down his waistline, or whether he's kicked out of kids' lives or squeezed or pushed out of kids' lives or whatever it is, you know, we've seen generation, you know, at least one and a half generations maybe that, you know, that you know, kids just kind of don't turn out right. And so, you know, in my opinion, anyway, as we endeavor to create better men or to help men become better in whatever way they want to or need to, then the residual impact is the world just becomes a better place. And to your point, Zach, women are safer, women are more fulfilled. You know, kids are too. So it's vital and it's important.
Yeah, no, I mean, we could throw numbers around all day, and I don't have them all memorized, but it goes way beyond just JBK's opinion or your Kirk M. Samuel's opinion or Zach's opinion. Um, when you remove fathers, right, or the male figurehead out of a family, every number that you would want to go up goes down, and every number that you wish would go down goes up, right? So things like teen pregnancies go up, you know, teen suicide goes up, high school dropout goes up, drug use goes up, alcohol use goes up. Um, you know, so all of those things happen, and that's not what we want. And yet, you know, in my studies of kind of nonprofit or philanthropic work, let's call it philanthropic work, and again, to make things simple for my brain, I know that we've got more categories of humans that we talk about now. Perhaps things have got a little more complex, but in a few generations or so ago, we used to just talk about men, women, and children. So let's just talk about those three categories. And in Philanthropy 101, we tend to say, with our pocketbooks and with our activity and our actions, okay, well, let's help the helpless or those who we deem need help. And we tend to classify women and children in that realm. And then what we say, maybe not with our outside mouths, but certainly sort of under the table or with our inside voices, you know what, Jason, you know what, Kirk, men, help yourselves. You got this. That's not working. Statistically, it's proven that is not working in the last 50 years. So men are stagnating or dipping down. Less men are going to college. Less men are graduating college. Salaries are flat. You know, the whole kind of multitasking, which we could get into a debate that no human is great at multitasking, but women stereotypically seem to be a little bit more inclined than men. And so as we've hollowed out the industries and we've offshored and outsourced, you know, there's adaptation and modification that's necessary to keep up with the speed of business or the speed of vocations. And very simply, across America and across the waters, Australia, Europe, men are not adjusting well. And so if we just say, well, let's just leave men to their own devices, I don't know that that's a good idea.
No, I mean, in every culture across the world, I mean, we're humans and we need connection. And yes, men may be a little better at isolation, we may be a little better at going our own. We, you know, a little stronger. We can probably get our own food and stuff. But as far as mental health and being successful, you need connection. You need a good group of guys around you. You need to have family and friends and whatnot. And a lot of what you were talking about, both of you, was the results of lack of healthy masculinity, the results of lack of fathers in the home, the results of what it's like for men to just be like, oh, you're a man, take it. Oh, good job. You know, you can handle it. Go, you know, suck it up and pull yourself up by the bootstraps and just be a man. And there's not a lot of outlet and not a lot of infrastructure for men and to be supported in mental health, emotional health. I mean, there's plenty of physical health. You look at all the ads out there, you get all the testosterone and Viagra and all the things you want, but is that actually what you need to be a healthy man? And I think one of the reasons that we all do this work, I know for myself, is that I need to be surrounded by those who I want to be like. Need to be surrounded by those who would better me versus me just being on my own, deciding what I need to do, or in most cases, adjusting my behavior to be less healthy, to soothe, to do all these behaviors that when nobody's looking, oh yeah, I could do that. And without a group of guys around, or without friends around, or without you guys around to go, hey, maybe not a good idea, or hey, how you doing? What's going on? Let's check in. A lot of guys fall into that soothing behavior, and then we have these epidemics of unhealthy families, unhealthy ladies, unhealthy children, a lot of it having to do with that man not being the best version he can be. And so this show, this work, the B-Men organization, the Men Summit, it's all about us doing our little part to make men better in whatever way we can. And I think as we get along in this episode, we'll dig into even some of our specialties on how we help men be better.
Yeah. Absolutely. I got a take to throw out there, but you left me with a grand total of 90 seconds before this next break. I think you did it. You probably did it on purpose. And I'll get into that next time, but or after the break. But when it comes down to to men and men getting to where we want to be, if you don't take care of the long pole in the tent, the thing collapses, right? And societally speaking, if you look at cultures across the globe, when men are the long pole in the tent, things get held up. Things are more stable. There's more peace. I mean, you could go on and on and on. And so culturally here in the West, or especially in America, when you begin to neglect that one pillar, the one thing that ideally should be or could be holding up everything, man, it's just a matter of time before structures crumble, before families crumble, before governments crumble, economies crumble, you name it. When you don't take care of that most important thing, and like I said, I'll call that the long pole in the tent, and that's men. That's men in our culture. If you don't take care of that, and for us, some of that is taking care of ourselves. But that's where we're going to bite ourselves in the butt as a group of people. But again, like I said, I got an interesting take, and it's about women. When we come back from this break, so we're gonna bounce into a break, and I'm gonna take back my time that JBK didn't give me at the end of that first segment. So we'll be right back. Madmen of Masculinity on KLDC. Boom.
So
Had to get you.
Kirk, I don't know if you can do anything about the audio, but your mic is real poppy. It's real hot. I don't know if it's coming through your headphones or if you actually use a microphone, but it's real poppy and sounds like a bad microphone.
A little bit. When you
I
guys
don't know when
production on this, are you gonna cut these breaks? Because I know I've seen some where the breaks aren't cut. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, no,
on the live streams on Facebook and YouTube, it all stays in on the video, but for the radio, Tanner will go back in and edit out all the stuff. So we like to say we don't. Are we streaming the recording of the radio show, or are we recording the streaming? I don't know. But either way, yeah, for the radio and the podcast, they go back and edit all that out.
Well, you think there's anything you can do about that, or are we just gonna?
I don't know, man. I think we're stuck like Chuck because I got my Bluetooth joints on, and
is the audio going through your phone or your headphones?
It's going through the Bluetooth.
Through your headphones?
Yeah, I got my Bluetooth joints in.
That's why it's poppy, because they may not be charged or just maybe having a weird connection.
Oh, it's probably a weird connection. They're 100%. Because I think if I go off of the Bluetooth, you'll hear the speaker. You'll hear the echo and all that kind of deal.
Okay. Well, we'll just deal with it then. We're dealing, folks. Doing the best we can.
We'll just deal with you, Kirk.
We ballers on a budget. You know what I'm saying?
All right, y'all ready?
Yep.
And we're back.
Yeah, your
Madman
boys are back.
Masculinity,
Mhm.
KLDC, Mile High City, and on the interwebs,
That's right.
everywhere.
Everywhere,
Welcome back to
folks.
the show. So, Kirk was mad at me because apparently I didn't give him enough time because he likes to talk a lot. So, go ahead, Mr. Kirk.
See. That's why we can't have nice things, man. You know, people are watching. You know, people are watching. You know, my mama might be listening, and you just
Yeah,
gonna dog me
she
out
knows
like
how
that,
much you
man.
talk. She knows how much you talk.
Nah,
She
my
made you.
mom ain't listening. She got better things to do. Um,
You never
but
know.
what was I going to talk about? Oh, I forgot. Now I know. We were talking about men and just kind of how when men are not present, things are not as good as they could be, and talked about some of the statistics and just kind of some of the. I think as men have been marginalized, women have been thrust in the position to carry weights and burdens that they aren't built to carry, and I don't know that women really want to carry that weight. I think there was a movement that came along and said, hey, women, we need to be more like men. And we need to be able to carry some of this weight so that we could, be the same as men. And we're not meant to be the same. And so women being pushed in some of these directions to carry weight that they are meant to carry. I think if you were to survey any large portion of women, anonymously, so they don't have to be accountable to their thoughts and opinions publicly, I think you would find that a lot don't like the burden of having to carry a household, having to carry a family, having to carry a workplace, having to make things happen, having to worry about their own safety, and just all of the things that the feminist movement has pushed women into by marginalizing the importance and the significance of men. you know, I would bet you that most women don't like having to carry these burdens. I think, most women, don't really want to do a lot of things that they're being forced to do culturally because of, you don't need no man. Well, you don't need no man means you got to do a lot of stuff that you really don't prefer to do. The women who have men are not the ones on social media trying to prove that their lives are great. They just off being great. And so the ones who are, I think, like I said, collectively, I bet you that more often than not, 51% of women would say, I don't like carrying these burdens that I'm being forced to carry by removing men from the equation.
Yeah, I think you're probably very right, and I think a lot of those ladies in private would say that. But of course, there's the feminist movement, and there's social media, and there's the public narrative, and there's a lot of them that are probably hanging on, white knuckling it because that's what they're told they should do. And yeah, girl, you can do it all. You can, you know, cook the meals and make the money and wear the dress and be the super mom and the CEO and everything else. And I think a lot of them, and I've met a lot of them, they're tired, they would much rather have help, but just like a lot of guys and a lot of what the narrative is for men, they don't feel like they have the opportunity to ask for help. And so as us men making ourselves better, becoming healthier, becoming stronger men, we actually can create more of a foundation for those ladies to like let their guard down a little bit, to take a little weight off, to say, "Hey, hon, I got that. You can be you and do the things you're great at. I'll get this other stuff. You don't have to do everything." And that's what partnership's about. That's what family's about. But as we see, there's a direct narrative, maybe, conspiracy, whatever you want to call it. But there's definitely energy and attention going towards separating family units and parents and, women and men. And so it's something we should need to talk about and bring up and put as much focus and onus on this separation and bring those folks back, bringing the wives and husbands back, bringing families back, bringing everybody back together in community to support each other.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know this for sure, but maybe some of the listeners don't. B-Man has a very passionate stance on this. And I think it's one of moderation. So it bears, saying maybe one more time in this video that, and I'll kind of paraphrase it like this, in the greatest democracy that supposedly ever existed in modern history, 100 years ago, women couldn't vote. So There's a difference between equality and replacement of in terms of genders, right? So in a world, and I jokingly, sarcastically would say, hey, you know, when you get your own planet, you know, with your own country, with your own currency, with your own culture, then you make the rules. But until then, on planet Earth, in the United States of America in 2025, let's play by the monopoly rules that we've been given. So some of those rules need to bend, some of those rules need to break. So not being able to vote in the greatest democracy that ever existed, that's inequality. That has to change, and it did. 50 years ago, a woman couldn't open up a bank account or go get a mortgage without a man's name attached to it. So one of the interesting dichotomies of that is, you know, divorce and my divorce, it was the catalyst to kind of launch B-Men. And a lot of men came into this organization having had that experience. Well, why is divorce happening so much more prevalently that now at the age of 54, I've only been divorced once and I'm a little behind. I should have been divorced like 2 or 3 times by now. Because what was taboo 2 or 3 generations ago, when you go back 40, 80, 120 years ago, is just happening on the regular now. The rules changed, right? When a woman, and flip it, if a man couldn't leave a marriage and go get a mortgage or a bank account, and in this case, a woman couldn't leave a marriage, well, then we're all wondering, well, why is she not leaving that guy? It's obviously toxic. Well, jumping off the Titanic without a lifeboat or a preserver or a rain jacket or something is just suicide. So of course that wasn't happening. So you had to have movement. So B-Men supports that. B-Men supports women feeling empowered and women being equal. B-Men doesn't support women or men being one above, looking down upon the other gender. That, to your point, Kirk, that's not the way the rules were written, and that's not the way this thing works. You know, are there single parent, you know, households? Yes. And give a beer to a guy or give a glass of wine to a woman and ask her to open up and be raw and real about that, and he or she is going to say, this sucks, man. I'm getting it done, but this isn't thriving. This is surviving. So B-Men, I feel, is kind of unique in that open group community, we now have over 800 people. We have 600 plus men. We have 200 plus women. Why would a men's organization allow women into an organization? Because, ladies, the way I phrase it is we want you to be able to window shop. You just can't sample the merchandise. You can't come to the Men's Summit and be behind closed doors. You can't come to a Beers, Bros, Bucks event, which is our continuity monthly gathering, because the moment a woman steps into that environment, it changes the whole dynamic, and men will shut down and they won't be raw, they won't be real, they won't open up about the things that they're already not opening up about, and they need support from somebody. So vice versa, though, we do want women to see what is the mission, what are the values, what is it that B-Men is espousing, why would I give a damn? And once you have the chance to have a window into that soul, I would defy any woman to look into our mission, our values, and tell me, I don't like that. That doesn't make sense to me. Every woman that's ever heard about this in a decade has told me, hallelujah, Zach. Where have you guys been? This is amazing.
There's a huge difference between equality and sameness. And sameness is an SAME, same. We can be equal, but not be the same. And that the movement that started off as equality has gone beyond the borderline of equality into we got to be the same. And that's where we miscue. That's where we take a step off into into the jungle, in terms of the cultural messaging, or whatever you want to call it, of that movement that said, okay, obviously, there's no conflict in terms of what we believe in terms of women needing, or women having the right to vote and needing the right to vote. Um, Shoot, in that same time, in my mom's lifespan, people that look like me couldn't vote, right? And so progress is positive. Progress needs to happen. Um, but even in that nuance, there's still differences in experience. There's still differences in spite of equality. So when we move, and here's a segue into Summit. So then why do we need to have a space for men to come together to talk about certain things and to address certain things that exist in man's space? That's because we're different. Again, we might be equal, but we're not the same. And so there are men's topics that we need to talk about absent the presence of a woman being in the room, because there's differences. There's some things that we can say to each other that we don't need to interpret to one another because of our common experiences as men. And to your point, Zach, as soon as you throw a woman into that space, that dynamic goes off. And so, in terms of this summit, and the magic that happens, the animal crackers and Nutella that comes together, is us as men getting in the room and talking about topics that are relevant to the things that we experience, in spite of this world and this society that wants us to all be the same. We're not the same, and it should be okay for women to have their networking events. How many networking events have you heard of for women? And that is the exact same point, because we're not the same. So it's vital for us as men to come together in a summit, in a gathering like we're talking about here in a month, and to be able to flesh out and have conversations and iron sharpen iron in ways that can't happen when when women are in the actual room where the work is happening.
Yeah,
That's
what we're
right.
talking about is basically the difference between equality and equity. And when you try to put everything in the same pile, when you try to make everybody equal, you discount the differences, you discount the strengths and weaknesses. And the reason men need to come together in a private environment, in a closed door session, is so that we can relearn masculinity. We can relearn healthy masculinity because of the influence of the feminist movement, and because of single moms who didn't have healthy masculine relationships, or had no father in the home trying to tell little boys how to be men. We now have to redouble down and retrain young men, how to be healthy men, so that they can take up their role and there can be some equity, so that there can be this balance of the masculine and feminine power, so we can have healthy, happy homes again. And that comes from each side doing their own work and then coming together and debriefing, each side deciding that I want to be the best version of myself I can be, so that my partner's better, so that my family's better, so that my children are better, my community, the world, etc. And so that's what we're doing our part with. And we know that a lot of ladies are out there doing their part. And now it's time for us to make sure that we're promoting each other to do those parts, so that we can have that equity, so that we can have the balance, so we can have the healthy, happy home again. And until we get back from this break, we want you to think about, what does it mean to have a healthy, happy home, especially if you're a man? And we'll be right back. We are the Mad Men of Masculinity. This is KODC. We'll see you in a minute.
Dude, this whole idea of being the same is where, I mean, we lose the macaroni in the
Messes it all
salad.
up.
Like
Yeah,
it
messes
just
it
it
all
just
up.
jacks it all up, man. And I don't want my wife to be the same as me. I just don't.
Yeah.
It would be convenient at times, but I don't want that. Women shouldn't want men to be like women, and vice versa. But unfortunately, what's happening? Women are becoming more like men, and let's be honest, men are becoming more like women in terms of that dynamic, that thing we bring into the room.
Yep.
Well, now after the break, now we can hit it hard. We set the stage about the men's summit and why it's
Yep.
vitally important to both genders.
Yep. Cool. Let's roll. And we are back. Mad Men
Yes,
of
we're back.
Masculinity, KLDC,
KLDC.
1220 AM in the Mile High City, and on the interwebs
Everywhere.
where there are people around the globe that tune into Mad Men of Masculinity. We're not one of these overly, commercialized, trying to whatever. We're not, we're not trying to be something we're not. We're just normal guys out here doing our thing. Shoot, we all got Clark Kent jobs. You know what I'm saying? All three of us on the screen. And so we do what we do out of the passion that we have and the calling on our lives. Speaking of calling on our lives, Zach, what is happening on August 23rd in Parker, Colorado?
Yeah, man, guys, I can almost not contain my excitement. And you know me, I tend to be like a game time dude. So when you ask me, you know, even a week prior, hey, you excited yet? I'm like, it's not game time. But I will tell you that we're 30 days out or more, a little bit more, and I'm starting to get juiced. So it'll be our second annual M.E.N Summit, and M.E.N being an acronym for Masculine Empowerment Network. And why is that important? You know, men need a place to come where they can just be raw and real and hang out with other dudes. And that's what this is going to be. Saturday, August 23rd, Parker Schoolhouse Theater in downtown Parker. We'll be kicking it off at 8 a.m. We'll be wrapping it up at 4 p.m. For $37 right now, which is just an absurdly low number, until July 31st. That's the early bird price. And then after that, $47. Man can attend, and what are you going to get? You're going to get a continental breakfast, meet a bunch of other extraordinary like-minded men for an hour. We'll hear a few words from the mayor of Parker. Then we'll head into the theater. What we've set up for you all is kind of a TEDx style delivery. We'll have 3 or 4 speakers in the morning. We'll have 3 or 4 more speakers in the afternoon. We'll wrap it up with a keynote. We'll have a mid-morning break, a mid-afternoon break, so we're not going to wear you out. We'll have a 75 to 90-minute lunch so that you can go connect with other men that you've met. We'll have a panel discussion. And we're going to be approaching male wellness, guys, from all sorts of different angles. You're not going to hear the same message 8 different times until you feel like, you know, one of those whack-a-mole things where you got hit over the head all day long for 8 hours. You know, we've got a varied lineup with men of varied backgrounds, all coming at the direction of healthy manhood and healthy masculinity from different angles. And kind of what I think about this is, you know, if we're talking to Joe the electrician, Bob the plumber, you know, Sam the sales guy, and you're like, why do I care? Like, I'm fine. Okay, well, there's a certain acronym for fine, or I'm good. But then there's the question, is good good enough? And so, guys, I want to speak into your hearts and your minds and your souls and say, you know, if you just kind of got it on autopilot, if you just kind of got it on cruise control, if everything's just sort of decent and you just been hitting the status quo for a couple of months, a couple of years, hell, a couple of decades, are you good with that? Like, can you hit your grave? I call it the numbers game, right? What did you do with your dash? You got a beginning number and an ending number, but the most important thing is that little line in between. And can you rest in peace till forevermore and know that you hit the merry-go-round and did everything that you wanted and got everything you wanted out of it, or gave everything that you wished to into it? And for a lot of guys, I know that's not the case at all. That wasn't the case for me. That wasn't the case for JBK. That wasn't the case for Kirk M. Samuels. And so it's coming to this to understand and learn, well, where can good become great? And even guys like Tony Robbins says, hey, I've always had a coach. Now, by different measures, this is one of the most successful, wealthiest, varied, educated guys in the country right now. And he's saying, I've always had coaches for decades because I need to see stuff from a different angle. So come to a room where you obviously are going to hear from some different guys and different perspectives on the stage. But, you know, sometimes the secret sauce is just having a croissant for breakfast with a guy you've never met before. And in 30 seconds, something happens, right? We're also promoting youth. So youth prices, $25, 13 to 17. Now, youth can't wander in on their own. So you need to be with your uncle, you know, your stepdad, your dad, a mentor, a coach, something like that. And ladies, like we're talking, when men get healthier, the world gets better. So why would you care? I don't know. Do you got a nephew? You got a son? You got a stepson? You got a brother? You got a brother-in-law? You got a husband? You got a former husband? You got a dad? You got a stepdad? I mean, they all count. I don't care if they're 20, 40, 60, 80. They're going to get something that might just be the catalyst that turns their whole life in a different direction for the good.
Yeah, one of the things that we, especially as men, need to realize is that it's never ending. Change is the one constant in the world. The change is one constant in life, and so having mentors, having coaches, having other men around you that have different experiences will help you as life changes because you're never on cruise control. I mean, as we go through life, you go through childhood and adolescence, then you're into quote unquote adulthood. Well, there's phases in that, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. You get into your career, then you get into retirement. There's all these different phases that you don't have the information for, but somebody else does. They've been there. They can help you out. And so with the summit, we're bringing all these different perspectives. We're bringing all these different guys with different perspectives come in to give you nuggets of wisdom, to tell you their experience so that you can know, number one, you're not alone. You're not an island. Other men have been through the same thing you've been through. All these men have survived it, so you can too. And if you get together with other men, you create a movement, you create some brotherhood. You can not only just survive it, you can thrive and create a whole new world to live in. But it's a matter of just showing up, and that's all we ask you to do. We're not here to sell you anything. We would do this for free if the venue didn't cost anything, but we want to make sure we do a good job, and so we're putting a good venue together, audio, video. We've got prizes. We got all these different things to make sure you have a good experience. But it's all about you just showing up. Just show up. We're not going to sell you anything. If you want to buy something, fine. You feel called to. That's your calling. That's your desire. Do that. We're not going to stop you from doing anything. We just want you to show up because that's all it takes. The one thing that most men have forgotten to do and are neglecting to do is showing up. So all we ask you to do is just show up. You're definitely going to get something out of it. You're definitely going to leave better off, and you're probably going to make some new friends, maybe some new lifelong friends, some new buddies. You never know what could happen. And like Zach was saying, you might walk up, say hi to some guy, get some coffee and a croissant. Next thing you know, you got a job opportunity, you got a new business partner, you got a new best friend for life. You never know. Something somebody says could save your life.
That's I think this is a great opportunity for a guy to just show up and receive. More often than not, when we show up somewhere, we can feel like, you know, somebody needs something. Or like we can show up to a space, or we can show up in a room, or, whether it's in your household or in your workplace or whatever, where you show up and it's like, man, I gotta do something. I gotta pour out. And then we end up pouring out and we have an empty cup, and you can't pour out of an empty cup. The world, your family, your work, and all of that is going to continually ask you to pour out. This is one of the few opportunities where you ain't got to pour nothing out, man. Just come and chill and just receive, basically. Just come and be in a space with other guys, normal guys. Nobody's trying to impress anybody. That's one of the cool things that, last year it seemed like it was just guys just hanging out, man. There's no peacocking, nobody trying to give you the extra tight handshake to prove that, none of that kind of stuff, man. It was just guys talking about guy stuff and just receiving. And let's be honest, fellas, there's not too many places you go in life where you just receive, where you can just, escape from the burdens that you have and the things you got to produce and the things you got to make happen and the pressure and all that kind of stuff. Ain't no pressure when you walk in the door. Ain't no pressure for nothing. Just come and chill, receive, listen, interact if you want to. If you don't like talking to guys, don't. But this is definitely that was the cool part about last year, man. It just felt like a space where guys just received, and it was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe one thing to piggyback on that, because I talked a lot about what you're going to get or what will be there. And sometimes equally importantly is what's not going to be there. So literally right off our flyer, here's what you're not going to get. You're not going to get shamed, blamed, guilted. You're not going to get preached to, pastored to. There's no political agenda. There's no rhetoric. There's no alt left, alt right. There's no, like we wrote in this little flyer, there's no testosterone tripping or boot camp type of stuff. The whole man up thing that everybody's either heard, like the manosphere, I think is what it's called. So you're not going to be Andrew Tated. That stuff ain't allowed. That's not the values of being men when we talk about honesty and sincerity and trustworthiness. Yeah.
Well, when it comes down to taking a Saturday for yourself, and I think that's, even to Kirk's point and to Zach's point, this is an opportunity for you. And I realize it's a Saturday, it's in August, so you're probably thinking about something else to do. But when was the last time you did something for you? When was the last time you said, I'm doing this for me? I'm going there, I'm going to show up, I'm just going to be open and see what I get. Because that's all you need to be. And most things in life, if you just show up and be open, the answers will show up, the opportunities will show up. But when you feel like you always have to perform, when you feel like you always have to be putting on some mask or some airs or something, that's when we miss out on things. And the men's summit is just an opportunity to show up and be open and see what you get. Every attendee last year said, I didn't know what I was showing up for, and I couldn't have been more surprised. And I was just blown away. You guys are opening my mind and giving me tears and breaking my heart and breaking me open and making me see life from a whole new perspective. And that's all we ask for you to do, is just show up and be open, because all these guys are doing it from the bottom of their heart. This is their passion, their love. And we just want to be able to make some kind of impact on one of you. If one of you guys, if we save your life, if your life gets 1% better, that's all we want to do. So take an opportunity to do something for yourself. And to Kirk's point, do something to fill your cup up again. You don't have to always be given. Sometimes you need to refill.
Yeah, wasn't there wasn't there a story of a woman that was there last year out in the hallway with one of the vendors, and she like reached out to her brother or somebody else in
Her
her life,
husband.
like another man, and was like, "You got to be here." Wasn't that? Didn't that happen?
Yeah, we had a table sponsor. It was I think that business has changed names now, so I don't know what the new one is. But she was there, being a table sponsor, supporting her business, and getting clients. And then she called her husband and said, "Get your butt down here. I need to be here." And he did, and he was very glad that he did. Even the mayor last year said he wished he could have stayed.
That's right. Yeah, and speaking of, guys, in the lobby, one of the ways we make this happen is we're going to have 8 to 10 sponsors there with products, with services that are geared towards men in your lives, so that you have, on breaks and stuff, you can interact with some people that may have something of value to support your journey. Yeah.
And speaking of value, it's time for us to take that value break. We are the Mad Men of Masculinity. This is KLDC, and we'll be right back. Q.
What's next? We head into a wrap up. How long do you guys usually go?
Pretty much. Yeah, this is the last segment coming up.
Well, it's the last segment. We'll do a little close up, but I think maybe even touch a little bit on kind of like what we're bringing to the table, what they can expect from us.
Yeah,
maybe we can go into a little bit more on better men, better world, and then kind of wrap it up.
Awesome.
But at the top of the segment here, before we kind of squeeze it in at the end, let's make sure we let folks know where to find tickets and how to get a hold of.
Yeah, maybe
so we don't have to squeeze it. So we don't have to squeeze it in 10 seconds at the end.
Yeah, right after the break. If you want me to do the kind of
open with it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, you got it.
All right, here we go.
You got it, Mr. MC.
We're back. It's fourth quarter.
Yes, we're back. Fourth quarter.
We're back. We're back. You know how they hold up the fours on the sidelines? Zach used to be a quarterback, man. Back in the day, you hold the fours up. It's time to bring this thing in. So, for those of you that we don't want to make you wait all the way to the end, Zach, how can folks, find out more about the summit and maybe even get tickets if they're in the area?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you want to do is go to bemen.org, hit that. We've got a tab on there called the Men Summit, right? So bemen.org/summit, and that's where you can find everything. You will find a link to our flyer that's going to spell out a description of the day's event. You will find links to all 8 speakers that will be present, right? So you can hit into their website. You will find our registration, right? So hop in there. You can grab tickets. Please, guys, don't come alone, right? Bring a buddy. Bring someone you're mentoring. We're looking to hit 100 guys in attendance this year. Last year we had 50, and all 50 said, "Damn, I wish I'd invited somebody else." So we're ready for you, man. It's going to be exciting. Don't miss this.
Yeah, this is one of those events that you may not have a clear idea why you're going. We're not selling you anything. It's not a timeshares pitch, but you will leave better off than you came in. You'll have a great experience. And, how often nowadays, guys, do we get to just hang out with a bunch of other dudes, do something cool, be honest, be vulnerable, not have to show out, not have to put on airs. You don't have to dress up if you don't want to. You just show up as you are, be yourself, meet other guys doing the same thing. Just have a day to yourself, recharge, learn something new, meet some new guys, create a new crew. It's all the Men Summit's about. We're just putting this on because it's selfishly, it benefits us, meeting new guys, growing our network, being able to have an opportunity to share what we're passionate about. I'll be sharing about shadow work and inner child work. Kirk's gonna be sharing about his stuff. Zach's gonna be sharing about his stuff. We got 4 other speakers that can be sharing, bringing in positive messages. So you got different flavors, you got different topics, we got all kinds of different things that you can experience. Plus, like we were talking about, we have the table sponsors. So we have a bunch of other businesses that are supporting us that you can join, you can buy from, you can, network with. There's so many opportunities here. So it's just a day for you to come as a man, recharge, and gain something of value.
Yeah, here's a fun fact. None of us are getting paid to speak at this thing.
I think we're still
All
paying
of
to
us,
speak.
we're paying. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, a matter of fact, it's quite the opposite. We're actually forking in our own cash to make this thing happen, to get off the ground, because we're passionate, because we're so passionate about this, about you, about men. We're passionate about this thing that we build our lives around, because we've seen the value of ourselves. And so um and so our motivations are pure in terms of why we're doing this. Again, none of us are walking away with a check. If anything, we're walking away with our pockets being a little bit lighter, and that's okay. And that is quite all right. We're not doing that begrudgingly at all. Like I said, because we're passionate about this, I think I'm gonna, I hesitate to talk about my topic. It's let's just say it'll have something to do with a Coldplay concert.
Nice. There you go. Well, and
let's
to that
just let's
point,
yeah.
Just listening.
yeah, and to that point, Kirk, let's be real. I've been in sales and business development for 3 decades. Men's work, as it's called, kind of this entire ecosystem, there are unbelievable coaches, teachers, mentors, influencers, podcasters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And many of these individuals, the way they've chosen to attack men's work is it is their vocation, and it is the way that they make income, and it is their sustenance. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We've decided to take a different strategy. beamn.org. It's a 501c3 fully functioning nonprofit organization in the state of Colorado, recognized as such. And so our table sponsors are making donations into the nonprofit to be there to have services and products available to you. You are not this summit, the next summit, next year, next month coming to one of our events. You will never find yourself caught in the B.M.E.N sales funnel, the marketing funnel. We don't have a, bronze, silver, gold, titanium, platinum, membership to sell you. That is 1,000% intentional, because we don't want it to feel that there's a word out there, gentlemen, disingenuous, bait and switch. Oh, I came to this thing because Kirk said to come, or my buddy said to come, or my brother-in-law told me to be there. And then an hour into the 8-hour session, that's when they hit me with for the next 23 minutes, 21 minutes, 18 minutes. That's not helping people, guys. We are here to help you. That is our passion. That is our goal. I promise you, you don't want to miss this.
And we're not saying you need help. Not one man that ever comes to the summit ever needs help. But every man that comes to the summit leaves better. It's just about up leveling. It's about learning something new. It's about continually growing. You don't go to the gym once. You don't eat that salad once. You always have to put in reps. And so this is just another rep to make you a little better. If you're new to the city, if you're new to the area, if you're new to the state, it's a great place to network and meet guys and find guys that you can partner with, you can befriend, you can play golf with. I mean, it's just the opportunities are endless. You never know. And that's one of the things, the golden nugget is usually one you don't see coming. You show up at these things thinking one thing, and then something hits you sideways. I never would have thought of that way, or I never would have expected this to happen, or this guy I met, I can't believe he's the answer to my prayers. So many of you guys out there have prayers of starting a business, finding a job, just creating a network, having a new friend. And you just randomly meet somebody at the summit, and that guy is the answer to your prayers. He's the angel that God sent for you to answer your prayers, and you would never have known that if you hadn't gone. So all I say is show up, do something for yourself, be open, and you're definitely gonna be happier when you leave.
There's two things I've learned over the past, I'm going to say 10 years of my life.
Just do.
One of them, just two things. I keep it simple. I went to public school, man. My level of retention is if it can't fit on a chalkboard, I just, yeah. Anyhow, one of the things I've learned is that as a man or as men, and I've learned this through my own life, can't do it alone. We try to a lot, and most of the time when we do, we fail. Most of the time when we try to do life alone and solo, even the Lone Ranger had Tonto, right? I mean, and so when we try to do life alone, we got nobody or nothing covering our back. We got nobody or nothing to lean on when we're tired. Even individual sports, the person has a coach. Golf, so the person has a caddy walking with them the whole time. You go on and on and on. So one of the things I've learned is we can't do life alone. And men in our culture, man, we're gonna get swallowed up and spit out if we try to do this thing alone. And we're gonna, we're gonna die early. We're probably gonna die broke. We're gonna die lonely and miserable. And a lot of us are dying at our own hands as a result. And so we can't do life alone. One of the other things, or the other thing I've learned is, to your point, Jason, just showing up is huge. Just showing, especially showing up in new places where you've never been before, man. Just literally, no expectation, just being in. We wouldn't be on this radio show right now, or podcast, or stream, or whatever. We wouldn't be on here if you and me hadn't showed up, Jason, to just a place. I don't even remember what that place was. It was somebody's event. You got a better memory than I do because you're way younger than me. But we showed up at somebody's event, and here we are, however many years later. Same thing. I mean, Zach, I don't even know. I don't remember where we met. I don't even know if you do, but I'm sure it has something to do with showing up at a place where you just meet somebody, man, and your life can be changed just by showing up to a random place, but at the right time.
Yep. This is your event. This is your day. We're putting it on for you. We'll be happy to offer you our services. We'll be happy to be there to be a coach or a mentor or just to be a friend. We're just there showing up, offering what we have for you. You have no obligation other than just to show up. And to Kirk's point, you never know. I met Kirk he was speaking at somebody else's event, a friend of a friend.
Oh, yeah.
And then she's like, hey, you guys should get to know each other. And that was 9 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that. It was a while.
I'm telling you, man, I don't even remember. I'm sitting here tripping now. Like, man, where was that? Zach, where did we meet? Do you remember?
Well, guys, so I think one of the keys is walking through the door. How many opportunities? Call it an opportunity, call it an invitation, call it an event, call it all of the above, and then just saying yes. I heard Jim Rohn say once, well, I didn't hear him because he's passed away now, but I heard through the grapevine that he just basically said, say yes to all those good things. And so I think it was maybe JB that introduced, I to JB, and then JB said, you got to meet this guy Kirk, or I met Chris. Chris said, you got to meet this guy Kirk, or I met you, Kirk, and you said, hey, you got to meet this guy Hendrick. And we said at the time, okay, that sounds good to me, right? The Men Summit, that sounds okay to me. I'll spend 8 hours of my day on a Saturday and see what happens.
Yeah, it's worth your time. It's worth your while. I put the link in the comments there, bmen.org/summit. Tickets are on sale now, and make sure invite your buddies. And if you're like us and other dudes and you got dudes around you, there's that one buddy that could use a little support, use a little help, or somebody you just want to see you do better, bring them along, bring some support, bring your buddy. It's one thing, I think it was mentioned earlier, but it's one thing we heard over and over again. I wish I had brought my friend. I wish I had brought my brother. I wish I had brought so-and-so. Bring them with you.
And you know, by the way, Jason, how many of us know a dude that we think he's got all his poop in a group? So you're like, well, I don't need to invite, you know, Jeff. And then you happen to invite Jeff, and Jeff comes, and suddenly behind the veneer, you find out everything isn't magically delicious in Jeff's life. And he needed to be there.
Yeah.
But you might not have invited him because you thought that everything was good and good. So
yeah, invite everybody. Make sure you get
Yeah.
your tickets. We only got 150 spots, and I'm sure we're gonna, you know, most guys will show up. You know, maybe they'll show up last minute, but I know there's gonna be not as much space as you think. So don't wait. Get your tickets. Invite your boys. Tell everybody about it, and make sure while you're doing that, you like and subscribe to us because we are the Mad Men of Masculinity. That's Kirkham Samuels. That's Brett Zachman. I'm Jason B. Kendrick. We are out.